Okay, just so you know, anything you say now, we're live. We haven't
Okay.
started the meeting, but we are live. So I'm just going to wait for a moment for Blaine to join us.
Okay. Oh, Jeff Carlson is here.
Hello.
So all members of council are invited to the meeting and they're welcome to participate, just not the voting.
Yeah.
And there'll be
Why
many,
do you want-
and there'll be many major votes cast today, I'm sure.
What do you want to be here for, Jeff?
I'm showing up to all of the inaugural ones just to see how things go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hello, Greg.
Sorry I'm late. Hello.
Just waiting for Blaine, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Now would be a good time to start the meeting and vote in a chair. Just saying. All right. I'm just here as a observer. So enjoy.
Oh, yes.
Hey, better than yesterday with that crazy weather.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it really, I don't know what I was thinking going for a walk, really. Holy jeez.
I saw that on your Facebook.
So remember,
went
we're
up-
live streaming, eh?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's true. It's all public.
Okay,
I went
yeah,
for a
no, I'm
walk
just
and-
pointing that out before we say anything.
Yeah. It was
We're
it really
Nick here. We're gonna be sending an update on that pretty quickly here, just to get an update too.
yeah, thanks. It was windy yesterday. Is that the update?
A little bit more on the specifics on what caused the power outages.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. That's yeah.
Should be out in the next 5 or 10 minutes here. So
Okay, cool.
I thought it was Campbell getting blown into a power pole or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, I went out later in the day and it was still just fierce.
Yeah.
Like even the dog was getting pushed around. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think we hit a 1 kilometer wind gust, at least in Grantham. So I think we had to be 120 around here, I think. So it's pretty.
I heard the airport measured 120, but
120,
that's I haven't confirmed that yet. But crazy.
So wait one more minute and then we'll start with or without Blaine.
Okay.
I'll just email him.
So, David, sorry to bother you while you're emailing.
I did the email, so it's no
good.
bother.
Have we discontinued all of our emergency management meetings?
It depends.
Okay.
If it's, well, Greg could be a better position to answer that.
Okay.
Do you want to answer that, Greg?
Yes, sure. Yeah, certainly they're on hold right now. But what we decided was we would certainly come back as some bigger issues came bubbling forward. We do anticipate, of course, the next release of restrictions or lightening of restrictions, as we all hope will be the case. We'll probably come back and make a formal presentation or have a formal meeting at that time.
Awesome. Thanks. Because, yeah, I've been getting some written updates, I think, from Luke, I think.
Yes.
But I just wondered if we were going to go back to regular meetings, but maybe just as the need arises, hey?
Yeah, as required.
Thank you.
So I haven't heard anything from Councillor Higgins, so if there's no objections, we'll just start.
Okay.
And the first order of business is to elect chair and vice chair. I've outlined the process that we'd be using to elect a chair and vice chair. Is there any objections to following those rules?
Nope.
Hearing none, we're in position to elect a chair. First, I'll do roll call though. Councillor Campbell?
I'm here.
Councillor Morrow?
Yeah.
Councillor Parker?
Yeah.
And Councillor Higgin. Okay, also joining us in the chambers are members of the city clerk staff, which is Janessa Brown and Chloe Casante and myself. And joining us via conferencing is Councillor Carlson, Nick Cool from Communications, and Greg Adair, who's Director, Appropriate Director. So to go back to the election of chair and vice chair, hearing no objections, we'll start. Is there any nominations for the position of chair?
I'll nominate Ryan Parker.
Councillor Parker, do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, is there any further nominations? If not, could I have a motion that nomination cease?
I so move.
So that was moved by Councillor Campbell, that nomination cease. All in favor? Any opposed? Congratulations, Councillor Parker.
Yeah, thanks.
You're elected a chair. If you'd like to continue the process with the vice chair.
Is there any nominations for vice chair for the Community Safety Standing Committee Policy?
I'll nominate Mark.
So do you
Is there any
accept?
other nominations? First of all, is there any other nominations on the floor? Seeing none, go ahead, Mr. Sarsfield.
Hearing none, the chair declares Councillor Campbell elected as vice chair. Congratulations.
Thank you. I yield back my time to the gentleman.
So
Thank you, Mr. Sarsfield. I don't have the acknowledgement statement in front of me here. I click on the link and it doesn't come up. So is it possible, could you read the acknowledgement statement if you have it there?
sure, on behalf of the chair, this is the acknowledgement statement that the city of Lethbridge acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land. The city of Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Mayor
you very much,
Spritman
Mr.
joined the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sarsfield. I appreciate that. Moving right along here, we'll go right into thing here. We're going to item 4.1, adoption of the 2021 January 14th Community Safety Meeting, SPC meeting. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Councillor Campbell. I don't think there's any discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? I'll take it that if I don't hear any opposition, I'll take it as unanimous. Going right along. Mr. Sarsfield, now are we going right into 5.1, or are we going to deal with the attachment, that being the orientation reference material?
We can go right into 5.1, which is the orientation.
Sounds good. Why don't we do that?
Okay,
This is the this is effective January 1st, 2021. Am I correct?
correct.
And of course, as it's written here in the consultant's governance review recommended this report presented, and this is where we are today. This comes back, of course, from our CIC meeting of November 4th, 2019. And like other special public body committees, this is kind of the first. So it's kind of a work in progress. And so it's somewhat fluid. And there's going to be probably lots of questions from not only ourselves moving forward and members of council, but also committees that will be answering to this committee. Am I correct, Mr. Sarsfield?
Correct.
Okay.
So what we've shown is there is a chart which shows which committees are reporting to this particular SPC. And if you look at the chart based on our current composition of committees, it would include the Ambulance Transition Oversight Committee, the Animal Welfare Committee, the Police Commission, and the Task Force on Crime Reduction, plus any other items which relate to community safety will come not necessarily from any of those committees, but it could come from just an outside source.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sarsfield. Is there any questions from the committee?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mr.
I just
Campbell.
so if I can ask Ryan, just like if there's so the Animal Welfare Committee, it's a standing committee that Rob Muir and myself were both on, so we're no longer on that. Now, when they then will report to this committee about anything that they need to report? Is that how this will work?
If I could answer that?
Yeah.
Please do.
Sure, that is correct. So instead of reporting to council, what we've tried to do is encourage that all committees, boards, commissions, and committees, that they report to council via the Standing Policy Committee. So for instance, if they wish to change one of their grant formats or the criteria or those kinds of things, they would make a recommendation and report to this particular committee. This committee may make a recommendation to council, passing on the information, and council would vote on it. But any airing or viewing of the different options, positive or negative, would be done at this level. So the vetting would be done hopefully here, and any member of the public would also be welcome to speak.
Now, so I mean, one of the main mandates of that committee is to just they vote on whether or not to give out money, assign money to a I mean, that's still just within their power to do that, right? They don't have to come to this committee to say yes or no if they're going to give like $200 to whoever.
Correct. Nothing of that has changed. Their powers and responsibilities remain the same. It's just if they wish any changes or wish to change their focus or recommendations, it would come to this committee.
Okay, thank you.
And same with the other groups as well.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any other questions from members of the Community Safety Committee?
I do, Ryan. It's Joe.
Councillor Morrow?
I heard, David, I heard you say something about the police commission would report to this committee. I'm a little concerned about that. Can you tell me what type of, why would they report to this committee? Give me an example of the reason for that, because I'm assuming that everything that not only this committee, but all other SPC all have to get approval from council. It all has to go back to council. So the police commission, why would they not go directly to council?
So if they're proposing a new program, perhaps, they might vet it through here, or they may ask for public participation beyond their level. So it would come here. Ultimately, just like the animal welfare, the police commission is responsive to the city council, but to make sure that there's proper public participation, that is why it may come through here. So for instance, there is
Go ahead.
So for instance, there is one item that's outstanding that's coming from the police commission. As part of the finance committee deliberations, there was a motion to reduce their budget by $1 million, and they're supposed to report back by the end of February to city council on that budget reduction, how it would be implemented, as well as as part of their 2021 annual plan. That would still go directly to city council, but if there was something else, it may come through here. So there's always options. People can still report to council, but we're trying to get some of the work to be done here at the standing policy level, committee level.
Okay, and thanks, I understand that. I heard you use the word vetting or vetted a couple times. So especially with something like the police commission, which is a significant part of our budget, I'm still a little bit unclear as to anything that they would come to this committee and get, like run it by us. The four of us, I think there's four on this committee, all we would do is hear them, but it would still go to council. So
Correct.
aren't we kind of duplicating and making them make the same presentation twice?
No, because what would happen is whatever documents or information that was provided at this level would be just forwarded on to city council. They wouldn't necessarily make a similar presentation unless this committee directed them to do. So this committee would hear the information and pass on the recommendation. And you got to realize too that this year is a work in progress. We're seeing what works and what doesn't work, and we may change the structure and the flow as we go along. This is our first meeting.
My final question is, does that mean then that anything from this committee or other committees would need a resolution to get it to council?
It will automatically go to council. So, for instance, if there was a motion from this that this Standing Policy Committee recommend option A. That would be included as part of the report to City Council. And all the minutes from the Standing Policy Committees would also appear on the council agenda, on the consent agenda, to keep everyone informed of what's happening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Moore. My follow-up question to that is, I know this is a work in progress. So let's say, for example, Mr. Sarsfield, and I don't know if you can answer this question. Maybe it's more of us as a group that have to answer this question. Is if, let's say, the police commission, or let's take off the police commission. Let's take the animal welfare committee. They have some stuff that they've been working on. They bring it this committee. It's our job to ask the questions of their proposal, their idea, or just their report. Then from there, if they have an idea, is it up to us then to scrutinize, to do the research regarding the validity of the idea, and then bring your recommendation to council? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And I'm guessing we have Mr. Adair, because he comes with that expertise, as he's a part of our committee. He's probably someone we can ask the questions. He can get some further information, or if need be, he could find the proper answers for us. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, and my last, and I appreciate all the answers. I just want to make sure you don't want to assume that's, but I guess so far I'm hitting 2 out of 2. And my third one was, then we as a committee, if we see that this recommendation from the animal welfare was something that we endorse, then we would take it to council through resolution. Most likely myself as chair would bring that and sponsor that resolution at a council meeting, correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Any other questions of members of the committee? I know there's not a member, but go ahead, Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you folks allowing me to be part of this. Just curious, because I'll be setting up the next couple meetings that I'm involved in. Would the bodies that are reporting to the individual committees, in this case, ambulance, animal commission, etc., are they standing items, or should they be standing items on the agenda, so that they can report to each committee meeting, or will they only be invited if there's something that they bring forward? I'm just not sure how the process is going to work.
So my question, so I just want to have clarification. So for example, if we meet once a month, each one of these committees would have a report to us. Is that what you're asking, or would it be ad hoc based on issue?
And that's what I was,
Yeah.
exactly, Ryan. I was wondering if they should have a report each month, and some months it may be nothing to report or nothing to bring forward, but at least it's a standing item on the agenda.
I would recommend that, and I think that would give these committees, especially on other like the cultural and social and all that, it would give them a sense of knowing when they report, gives them a sense of task, and I think that's what I would recommend. Is that what's expected, Mr. Sarsfield?
We hadn't really thought out that part of the process. It was just like if a committee such as the Animal Welfare Committee wished to make a report to council, instead of them reporting directly to council, they would report here. So they may only report to this committee, or council for that matter, once a year. But the expectation is if they do have an issue or a recommendation, this is where it would come.
Okay, and I think that's something we as a council have to discuss, because I think we should have all our committees kind of on the same mandate, the same page, so there's an expectation. Because I think a lot of committees right now are kind of like, well, where do we sit in this whole thing? Example being the GALT. The GALT doesn't know who they answer to or what they're expected to do, right? So I think we need to get some clarity. And I know, and I told the GALT, I'm using this example, as this is kind of a work in progress, so bear with us. But I think we need to have some certainty that they know what their role is, and how, when I say role, I mean in how they report to these committees.
So we have sent out information to all the various committees just on how the structure works and whatever, and we'd be open from the city clerk's point of view to present or answer any questions which any committee may have.
Thank you, Mr. Archfield. Does that help clarify for you, Councillor Carlson?
I think so. Thanks, Chairman Parker. I guess the thought I was having is if you had it as a standing item, and this will be my recommendation for any SPCs I'm part of, is if it's a standing item, then at least it can be populated by, say, the minutes or any information the BCCs wish to submit, and that just sort of populates and keeps each committee sort of in the know. So that it's something I'm thinking of doing for the SPCs I'm part of, and I thought I'd raise it here for you. So thank you.
And I would agree with you. Members of the committee, do you have any feedback on regards to that? Councillor Campbell or Councillor Morrow?
No, I agree.
Thank you. And Councillor Morrow?
Yeah, that sounds good. One thing, if I can add to that, it'd be nice to know which other committees, what are all the committees that report to each of these SPCs? I'd kind of like that to be somewhere.
It's actually, if you look in your attachments, Councillor Morrow, there's like a flow chart that has everything from council broken right down to each committee of the 5 and what committees answer to those SPCs. So it's in your, if you look in your calendar, it's as a note attachment. You'll see it as an agenda item. So it just helps you out.
But what I'm trying to get at, so this is open to the public, these meetings, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if I'm Joe Citizen out there and I have an issue with whatever, we're picking on the animal committee, let's go with that. So now I want to, somehow I need my voice, my concern to be heard. Number one, how will I know when the meetings are? Number two, if the animal committee does not have anything to present to this committee, will Joe Citizen have the opportunity to speak to an issue that he or she may have regarding the animal committee?
Okay, so that's a good question. So Mr. Sarsfield, first of all, how will the Joe Citizen know in regards to what committee they would go to and the process? How are we letting them know how to go about it?
So right now, all the agendas for the standing policy committees, such as this one, are published on the city website. We publish them 7 days prior to the meeting itself. We've also have changed the terms of reference for each of the committees to reflect that. Any of those committees that are listed there, all the BCCs are public meetings. So anyone could go to any meeting. For instance, the Animal Welfare Committee, someone could go to that particular committee meeting and voice their issues or concerns. And that's what we would probably do if someone came here and said they had concerns with animal welfare. We would link to that. We're also advertising that anyone who has any submissions or whatever, they're welcome to do so. But again, the agendas are published a week before. And once they're published, then people would be welcome to participate by either coming in or submitting information on whatever items are on that agenda.
So a follow-up from after listening to Councilor Morrow, let's say that person didn't talk to the Animal Welfare Committee, but it was an issue in regards to animal welfare. Could they still come to the committee without having to use the conduit, which would be recommended, of course, using the Animal Welfare Committee? But if they didn't want to use that conduit, could they still come to this committee and present on a topic that would be related to that?
They could, and the SPC could take the direction of referring back the matter to the Animal Welfare Committee to deal with, or alternatively direct it to City Council to change the terms or the policies associated with that committee. So they could go either way.
Thank you. Councilor Morrow, did that help answer? And do you have a follow-up?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, and I see Councillor Hagan has joined the meeting, as well as our City Solicitor, Brian Lowen. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Parker. I had an emergency.
I am not Councillor Parker. I am Chairman Parker.
Chairman. Sure. Well,
I'm just joking. It's all a joke. It's all good fun.
I'm glad that I showed up late. Then obviously, no. I'm sorry. I had an emergency issue
no,
here.
I'm just bugging you.
I had an emergency issue here in my office, so I apologize for my tardiness.
No, we're just bugging you. I'm just having fun. Right now, we're just going over the orientation in regards to process and all that. So if you have any questions in regards to that, that's all we're doing at this time is entertaining questions.
And you could have been the chair.
Okay, perfect. Moving right along here. regards to orientation here. I'm just going to scroll down here. Any other questions at this time, or is there something you recommend, Mr. Sharsfield, that we should dial in on?
No, just answer any questions, and just so you know, we're presenting the same information to all the standing policy committees. So if this happens to be the first one, you'll hear it again at another one.
Okay. Very good. And as all members of the committee have seen the schedule for this, and there is no issue at all?
No.
Very good. Do you have Mr. Carlson, Councillor Carlson?
Thank you, Chairman Parker. Quick question. Because I'm not sure about the delineation of authority and process yet, and I'm sure we're all muddy. I know that council had directed a review of the police bylaw. Would that go through this committee now, or I know it's sort of resting at commission, and then would they come back to this committee?
What bylaw you talked about? I didn't hear you properly. What was that?
The recommended changes to the Municipal Police Commission bylaw.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know where that is in process. I know Mr. Lowen had been dealing with some things on that. Him popping in spurred that thought in my head. So I'm just wondering, where does that rest now? In this committee?
Mr. Lowen, could you, is that up to this committee, or is it a council going through the city solicitor's office? How does that go? David, could you possibly fill in the blanks there if possible?
Sure. The motion was, it was official business resolution of council that the city council review the police commission bylaw, and that a report come back to, the bylaw come back no later than January 31st for review by city council. To my understanding, it still lies with the solicitor. The police commission has not been involved. We did write a letter on November 2nd, which was sent to the mayor and to the city manager requesting to be involved, and the police commission hasn't. So my idea, but it would depend on the process and what people wish to do, that it goes directly to city council.
Okay, thank you for that.
Is that correct, solicitor?
Yeah, I don't know if Brian's there. His mic, I see he's present, but his mic's on mute.
Okay. Anyway, that's my understanding. It may change, but that's where it's at right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you for that question. Appreciate that. Any other questions from members and non-members at this time, or even questions or advice from officials? Seeing none, going back to our agenda here. Procedural and public participation review, 5.2.
The reason why this was put on the agenda is because at our next meeting, there is an item which is coming. And that's specifically...
And is that our February 11th meeting you're talking?
Yes.
Okay.
And specifically what that's about is to generate public feedback on the anti-mask or mask bylaw.
Okay.
So there was a resolution by council to extend it, but to allow for public feedback, and that was scheduled for the February 11th SPC meeting of this particular body. So we just want to make sure that the process that we're following is correct and what you would wish to do. Primarily what's written down is what we follow for a public hearing process. So if you just want to, I can talk you through it, or you can just read it, whichever you prefer.
Now, is this items on our sheet here, is this the attachment 1, items 1 to 8 are you speaking to?
Correct.
Okay. So the only difference between this and a public hearing format is, are we actually held to a point to when the meeting's over that we can't gather information, but we can still gather information, am I correct?
You can, yes, you can do whatever you like, but you just report to city council on what you're doing.
Okay, very good. See this? Okay, good. Members of the committee, do you have any questions in regards to points 1 through point 8?
I guess
Seeing-
given the times we're in, will this be an online format? Or do
So
we know that?
it could be either way. So people will be encouraged to participate online. They can also do written submissions. They could also present in person. We do have a restriction on the number of people, however, in council chamber as well as in the atrium, so we would follow those rules. But anyone would be welcome to participate. It also is live streamed, so anyone could watch the meeting if they so chose, just if that was what they wish to do rather than submit anything. So any submissions be welcome, and they would be circulated and be published as part of the agenda. So the agenda is published, as I mentioned, 7 days prior to the meeting itself. So we would publish anything that we've received as of that point on the agenda. And if we received any additional submissions between the date of the publishing and the meeting itself, or even during the meeting itself, those would be circulated to the committee members and would be added to the agenda after the meeting. So in that way, there would be complete record of anything that was submitted, and that could eventually then be forwarded or linked to City Council. So Council, the rest of Council would be privy to any of the information that was received.
And is the intention here, it's a public hearing, but is the intention to have a resolution after the public meeting for council later?
It's up to you. It's not actually a public hearing. It's just a forum for people to express their views, whatever they may be, for, against, or something in between, on that or any other issue.
So it's mostly for information for council.
Right.
To absorb.
So the committee could make a recommendation, whatever it may be, that based on the information they receive, that this be done or not be done. They could, but that would be attached to the minutes of the committee and or report, depending on what's involved.
Right.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any other members or non-members have a question in regards to the February 11th meeting? Seeing no hands. Very good.
So
Thank you. Go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt. So one thing that I would imagine we'll have is we will have report just on what the status is of the bylaw and of the provincial public order reference in it, so that anyone who's making a submission has some reference point to whatever issue they may have.
Makes sense. Very good. Anything else scheduled for that day?
Right now, that's the only thing. I thought that'd be a full meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably will be. What time are we planning to have that meeting at?
So all these meetings, SPCs, are scheduled to start at 1:30, just like council.
Can I make a recommendation? I know we try to keep everything around 1 o'clock. Do you think this would be better to have something like this around 5 o'clock? And the reason why is there's a lot of people that probably work who are consumed with other things, family issues or something like that. Do you think this would be more user-friendly if we did this more in the evening? I'm just throwing that out as a suggestion, and members of the committee may just say, you know what, we'll just keep it around the 1 o'clock time. So I'm just throwing it as a recommendation. Any, what do you folks feel?
Well, my initial thought is I think we should keep it always consistent at 1:30. I think that's my initial thought, but I could be swayed.
Okay. Councillor Higgin?
I like your thoughts, Chairman Parker, and your ideas behind it. But I do understand as well that we do have administration that would be participating, and that's after kind of their time. So I don't know how that affects, but I'm again open for suggestions, and it would give a better opportunity for others to be able to attend if it was later. But again, the comments as earlier as issues with having administration be able to attend.
And that's a good point. Thank you.
Well, there's also, I think this is going to be one of those, I think, where there'll be a lot of submissions in advance too, because it'll be I think we'll get a lot of written submissions, I think. So just based on the fact that it's going to be online, and COVID times. That's all.
Thank you.
So
Councilor Morrow, just seconds before I go ahead, Councilor Morrow, and even Councilor Carlson, do you have any thoughts on that as well? Is the mayor with us?
the mayor is sitting in the gallery.
Okay, if the mayor and anyone else, if someone else has a thought, please speak up. I would like to hear the thoughts. I think the committee would like to hear the thoughts as well. Councilor Higgin, you still have your hand up. Okay.
It should be taken down. My apologies.
No problem. Councilor Carlson?
Thanks, Ryan. You're asking for feedback on the timing of that meeting. I think those that feel it important can communicate written, so the time might not be as much of an issue. I think what the idea was just to allow the pushback against no public engagement before making the bylaw was the issue. So I think allowing folks to actually have their comments written, and those that feel passionate enough can attend online. So I don't think the time is too much of an issue,
Okay.
but that's just my thought.
Thank you. Anyone else? So why don't we just keep it at the time scheduled for right now, unless otherwise changed? So we'll find out. Sounds good. I just wanted to throw the idea out there. I appreciate the comments. Mr. Sarsfield, did you have anything else to add in regards to 5.2?
No, I was just, if that's okay, that's what we'll do. And we'll advertise what's on the agenda and what's on there, and we'll get out the agenda as soon as we can so that people have something to respond to.
Thank you, Mr. Sarsfield. Moving right along, obviously we have nothing else. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to add or talk about at this time? I think one important thing is that Councillor Carlson brought up a very good point in regards to making this as standing items in regards to these people on the four committees that answer to this body. So we should just get some clarification on that, and I think we should have some consistency across all SPCs. That would be just something I'd recommend.
We can implement that.
Members of the committee, would you agree with that?
I do.
Councillor Morrow?
Yeah, that's good.
Councillor Higgin?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, and that was a good recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Carlson. Seeing no other items on the agenda, can I have a motion that we now adjourn this meeting until February 11th of 2020?
So,
As long
Campbell,
as 21, I'll support that.
Okay, so sounds good. All those in favor? Perfect. Thank you. I guess that carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone, and thank you. This is the inaugural. I do appreciate. I was joking. Being a chairman is always an honor, but I don't mind doing it at all. So thank you very much for the nomination, and we'll see you all soon. Be safe.
all right.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Guys. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye bye.